The Real Estate Hour, the longest-running real estate talk show in the North Bay. Heard every Sunday morning right here on KSRO for over 35 years. Hosted by Allison Norman and Stephanie Norman, local realtors with local real estate experience. And now, here are Allison and Stephanie.
Happy birthday to you.
So happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Anyway, welcome. And to the rest of you, welcome. And go out there and enjoy Stephanie's birthday.
A 3-day weekend that everyone gets for my birthday.
Yes, I know, and it's always been it's a blessing and a curse, right? With the
It really is, yeah.
falling around Memorial Day because usually people are out of town. I know when you were growing up, it was sorry we can't make Stephanie's party.
I always had to celebrate it in like June because everyone was out of town on vacation, summer vacation.
Yeah. Anyway, but.
So happy Sunday, everybody.
Happy Sunday.
Hope you're enjoying your 3-day weekend and not forgetting about why we have that 3-day weekend for Memorial Day and remembering all of our
all those who've made the ultimate sacrifice.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. So we are thinking about that as well today, and it's also the kind of unofficial start to the summer. Summer season, which also includes the summer buying season when we're talking about real estate, because we are a real estate show, so we're talking about real estate. That we're going to talk a little bit about some buyer, because we are seeing more buyers coming out.
Yeah.
And last week we talked a lot about kind of getting your house ready for the market. This week we're going to talk about putting together a strong buyer, a strong offer. As buyers, there's more competition. There's more going on right now, even in spite of everything going on in the world, and interest rates are up and cost of living has gone up, and there's still people out there recognizing and realizing that real estate is still a good
when people ask me how the market's doing, and I say people are still buying, they're always really surprised.
It's like
wow,
really?
People can still afford it, and it's like, well, it's
some people have I know, right? There's still actually a lot of cash out there in the world, and we do see a lot of cash buyers, but there's still people getting loans. Yeah. And I think a lot of it's, putting a lot of years into the thought process of, buying a home and saving up money and really making sure they're ready. So we're seeing that. Also people selling their home and then moving, and we've seen over the years, since COVID and interest rates went way down, everybody refinanced or they bought a house during those first couple of years of COVID, and then the interest rates went up, and we've seen people just sitting on those low interest loans going, why? I'd love to move, or I need to move. This house is too big, it's too small, I need to get to the other side of the country to be with my family, or whatever. And they've been hanging on to that because of that low interest rate. So I think we're starting to see a loosening up of that. We're, kind of breaking point where people are all, we've got to do something. Obviously, it's not going to change anytime soon and prices still have kind of continued to go up. So just incremental little bit. It's just a weird market. It's a weird market, which is also our answer to the question. And it's an interesting. People say, "How's the market?" It's interesting.
Yeah.
And it depends is a really good answer too, because it does depend. It's like what part of the market are you looking in? That higher end of the market is really taking a long time to sell. And we're seeing a lot more things come on the market in that lower price point,
and
then buyers, those selling quickly. The ones coming in the higher price point aren't selling quite as quickly, which in part is kind of normal, but at the same time, it definitely changed a lot. I think after COVID, after like midway through the, it's probably like a 5-year. If you look at COVID, we're looking at, what happened in 2019 versus what happened in, then 2020. And then you're looking at 21 and 22, and then the interest rates went up, and then things changed. And it took us really until I think last year, maybe even this year, to really recover from that. So, when we talk about the COVID years, I usually think about a 5-year period, and it's interesting. I think I mentioned it last week, how everything is kind of before COVID, when we're or after. Was that before COVID or after COVID? When you're thinking about something that happened in your life,
Things
it's like,
definitely changed after that.
It was a definitely defining moment in the world.
And while we're speaking of listings, we still have our listing at 2346 Olivet Lane.
We have our beautiful.
It's a beautiful property. I want it.
It's just under 3 acres, about 2,400 square feet, a little over. There's an almost finished ADU. It is a permitted structure. It has, windows, walls in, and there's doors. They have the flooring ready to go in. They've got all the spaces inside defined, and some of the fixtures in for a 1-bedroom, 2-bath, laundry room, and then 2 other office study type rooms that are not bedrooms. But it's a 1-bedroom ADU. It's thinking like 900 just under 900 square feet. But that's a huge bonus for this property, to be able to, and there's an I shouldn't say easy, there's a fairly easy pathway, and that the owner has looked into and is in the process of working on making it a legal ADU. Yeah. Right now it's a legal structure. And so, and it's a huge benefit to this property, all of that. And then the house itself is this modern Victorian inspired, is like what we call it.
Wraparound porch. Oh my gosh.
That's like the selling piece for me, is that wraparound porch.
And those views.
It's not just like a little porch, it's a really substantial porch. And it goes all the way around.
Sit outside in the morning and drink your coffee and look out over the vineyards.
It's overlooking vineyards.
Sunrise. You can watch the sunset.
Yes.
No, I think
you can
different.
watch the sunrise from the back porch.
Exactly, because you have a wraparound porch. You can watch it either way.
Go sit on the back porch in fact, they sent me a really nice picture of, it looked like a sunset, but it's clearly facing the back part of the property. Right, and I'm like, wait, is that a sunrise? He's all, yep.
Ooh, I love a sunrise.
It's so pretty. So you get both. It's just a really nice house. It's a 3-bed. The house itself, I talked a lot about the ADU. The house itself is 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, plus it's plumbed for an additional bathroom in the garage, the extended portion of the garage. And then it has 2 laundry room areas. It has a separate dedicated office. Am I leaving anything out? Own solar.
Own solar.
So, it's just got a lot going for it.
It's a beautiful
property. It's listed at $1.7 million. We'll probably do an open house next weekend. It didn't make sense on Memorial Day weekend because everybody's gone, like we already mentioned.
And speaking of Memorial Day weekend, I did post on our Facebook page, Real Estate Hour with Allison and Stephanie Norman. It's a link to the Made Local. Is it Made Local?
Happening Local.
Happening Local. Thank you. There is a Made Local.
There is Made. It's different.
It's Happening Local. They have events that happen this weekend. There might be something today. I'm not sure, but there is stuff happening tomorrow on a Memorial Day. There's there's a remembrance ceremony in Rohnert Park held at the Rohnert Park Community Center, 5401 Snyder Lane at 10 a.m. featuring speakers, music, and an avenue of flags. There's a Memorial Day car show in Windsor, a free large-scale event at New Song Church, 167 Narada Lane, starting at 10 a.m., showcasing over 350 vehicles with food trucks and family activities. There's also Russian River Float in Forestville, an open invite community float starting at Steelhead Beach Regional Park.
All kinds of things.
Yeah, so there's lot
usually
of stuff happening.
Sonoma veterans.
Sonoma Town Bluegrass Jam.
No, there's usually like Memorial on Mondays. And I didn't look it up to see, but
so you just Google it. I will post some of these events.
Yeah, take a look at our Facebook page, The Real Estate Hour with Allison and Stephanie Norman on Facebook, and we've got events there. And speaking of that page, I shared, I happened to catch a portion of an interview yesterday. It was on, I was listening to The Wolf, which is one of our sister stations here. But it also aired on KSRO, and it's actually on the KSRO website. It's the Sonoma County Focus. Really good interview with 4 different veterans that have done the Claudio Calvo, who was, we had him years ago on the radio show talking about Hearts for Veterans. But anyway, he is really involved with the North Bay Honor Flights. And the Honor Flights is a national program. It originally started with bringing World War II veterans to the memorials in Washington, D.C. They've expanded it to cover Korean and veteran wars. As far as I'm concerned, it should be anybody that is a veteran that fought in a war should be able to be on these honor flights. But they, it's a really good interview. They talked about the impact it had on them to go to the different memorials and see, the names of their, fallen comrades and then coming back. And if you hear of an honor flight coming back and they talk about it, you hear about it, and we'll try and keep track and remind people. But you can go, anybody can show up. I think we talked about it on one show when it was happening, but you can go and just people line the streets on the way to the airport. And they get that hero's welcome. And for the Vietnam veterans that came back, and didn't receive that, there was one or two of the people talking on this interview who mentioned the impact of that because they didn't really receive that when they came back. So anyway, it's a really good interview. I posted it on our Facebook page, The Real Estate Hour with Allison and Stephanie Norman.
Yeah, so if you're interested in
give it a listen, and you can get
it.
and talk about how you can get involved with North Bay Honor Flight and all of that.
Don't forget why we celebrate this 3-day weekend that we get. It's not just a celebration and an extra 3
official
days.
Kickoff of summer, and we don't have to work. But yeah, there's a reason why we have that.
So don't forget that reason.
So we're
to honor that.
Yes, thank you. I didn't mean to cut you off. It's an important topic. But yeah, so we're going to take a quick break. We come back, things we're going to talk about during the show today. We're going to mention buyer strategies. I want to talk a little bit about, because it is Memorial Day, and we do a lot of work with veterans. And that's really we usually on Veterans Day, we do a full show on the VA loan and all the benefits of that. But a lot of people don't know, and hopefully the Veterans Administration lets people know. But if a surviving spouse is actually eligible for the entitlements for the VA loan. So I want to talk a little bit about that, just to cover that, because I think it's important to know.
With some empathy in there as well.
Yes, exactly. And yes. Anyway, so and then we're going to talk about the numbers, and then that'll take us through the show. So let's take a quick break, and we'll come back. I'm Allison Norman.
I'm Stephanie Norman.
We are the Norman Home Team. You're listening to The Real Estate Hour. We'll be right back. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back. Happy Sunday. Happy birthday to Stephanie. Yes. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. I hope you have some plans, something fun, and some time to reflect, and all of the things. So let's take a look at the numbers, and then we'll move on from there and talk about buyer strategies and VA for those surviving spouses that a lot of people don't realize is available. But so first, let's tackle those numbers and let you know what's going on. I came across, on Facebook Memories, something popped up, and it was happened to be May a couple years ago. But the difference in the amount of numbers, this was actually end of April. At the end of April, we were looking at the numbers. There was 416. Wow. So this is, what year is this? This is... Oh, it was 2022. It didn't show up on this picture, but I know it was 2022. So there were 416 active listings and 427 in escrow. So there we had more in escrow than we had active on the market. Wow. That was kind of the end of, I don't remember what month the interest rates went up, but that was kind of the end of the happy times when there was, not happy because we were going through COVID, but the times as far as real estate when people kind of were going crazy and buying and refinancing and all of the things because the interest rates were so low. But so there were 416 active. This was April 30th. May 1st, I don't know why they're both the same time. Maybe I'm not there. I really need to. Yeah, shoot. I sent this. I have it on my phone. I'm looking at Stephanie's. I sent it just as a photo, but it was the 20. Maybe that was the 2021 and then 2022. But there were 300 what does that say? 398 active listings, and then 427
151
in escrow. And so I'm telling you that to put into context what we're looking at today. So we definitely have more inventory, about twice as many homes on the market right now. There are 893 as of today. And those are single family homes active on the market right now. The median price for those is $1,250,000. And so that's a median. So that, $1,250,000 doesn't mean all the houses are selling for that amount of money. That's the middle of the market. And then in escrow, there are 332. So definitely a big difference from those other years that I showed, where it was, there were actually more on the market, more in escrow than there were on the market. And we were definitely feeling that and seeing multiple offers and overbids and all that. And, a lot of, it's been a little hard to explain that to sellers right now, that's not the market we're in right now, because there aren't. We're not all getting multiple offers and overbids. Buyers are being really selective and taking their time, and but I think that's starting to change a little bit, and we'll talk about that when we talk about buyer strategies in a little bit. But anyway, let's finish up this part. So condos, there are for the median in escrow, $875,000 is the median price of what's in escrow right now. That's pretty indicative of what we're seeing as far as the lower priced homes really selling and going into escrow versus the higher priced homes staying on the market a little bit longer. Condos are 146 condos and townhouses, 146 active on the market, 48 in escrow. Mobile homes, we have 97 active, and those are mobile homes in a park. 97 active, 36 in escrow. Multi-unit, 2 to 4 units, there are 115 active on the market right now, and then 13 in escrow. That's really pretty normal to see that big gap between the two. And then same with land, there are 308. It's up over 300 again from, I think it was last week as well. Yeah, it was 311 last week. So a lot of land, buildable residential lots and land. And the difference between lots and land is that a lot is usually in a subdivision in town, and then not always in town, but usually in a subdivision in town. And then land is more, out in the country, maybe requires septic and a well and all of that, but not necessarily all the time. Anyway, so lots and land, buildable residential lots and land, 308, and then 35 in escrow. So. And that's pretty normal for that,
and that's
right?
for all of Sonoma County.
This is all of Sonoma County, yeah. And so you have a look at what happened this last week, just single-family homes, right?
From last Sunday to today. So new listings, and this is also Sonoma County. New listings, 143 with the median list price of $850,000. Back on market, 15. Price reduction, 71. In escrow, 86. Pending, 78. And sold, 99. With a median sold price of $958,000 and 48 days on the market. And that is an average on that one. And let's see.
What did it look like last week?
What did it look like last week? So, yeah, the new listings have gone up. Last week it was 139 listings.
And what is it this week?
143.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, see, we're seeing some more stuff come on the market, but I think we're also seeing more go into escrow.
Yeah.
Or at least it feels like it anyway.
In escrow, yeah. Last week it was 69. Today it is 86.
Okay. And then, did you say the median price of what went into escrow?
Yeah, so in escrow today is $958,000, and last week it was $832,500.
Okay, yeah, and so that, especially when we're looking at week to week, that number fluctuates a lot. I think because all it takes is one really high price listing or one really low price listing or a few of each, to really change that needle up or down. But I think it's important to keep an eye out and see. And then what it does tell us is maybe something more expensive did sell this year. I mean, go into escrow this week.
And it's fun to see. Sometimes it's like a crazy number that comes up, and we can go back and look like, oh wow, that was a property that was on the market for like 100 days or something like that. And
yeah,
like, wow,
and it sold. Yeah, that eventually they'll sell, but usually it involves multiple price reductions. And
yes.
and all of the things.
Congratulations to all of you who either sold or bought a new home, and
Yeah,
everyone that was involved,
congratulations.
because it is such a process. There's so many people in the background working to make that happen, and y'all did it. So congratulations!
Yay, congratulations! Yeah, it's a lot of work. And it's very stressful for both sides and for all sides, really. And yeah, shout out to the title companies too, because they work really hard, especially when they're up against deadlines. And also, congratulations to our client who sold their place on Thorn, our house. We cried a little bit. No,
we did. We did. We loved
we did,
that
and we were happy
property.
for them. But oh man, that's one of those things where, gosh darn it, if we had some money in the bank, I would have bought that place. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's an
I do have
property,
some money,
so
but if I had enough money in the bank.
To the buyers.
Yeah, congratulations. It's 3477 Thorn. It sold for $810. We did have multiple offers on that.
Definitely have some FOMO on that one.
Yeah. And it sold. I mean, those $1 million properties along that ridge there, looking to the east, overlooking Sebastopol, Sebastopol, all of the and to the hills beyond, and you can see Hood Mountain, all the things. It's just but congratulations. We're excited for the new owners, and happy for our clients, the sellers, who are they're actually going to exchange into something else as an investment. But okay.
Exciting.
But anyway, congrats to them and everybody involved in the title company. Worked really hard to get that thing. We closed it early, so that was nice. All righty. I'm Allison Norman.
I'm Stephanie Norman.
We are the Norm Home Team.
And when we come back, we're going to be discussing...
We'll talk about buyer strategies. Let's do that. All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. And happy birthday to Stephanie.
Thank you.
Yes. You had a good day yesterday.
I did. It was exhausting, but it was fun.
Yeah. What's that winery that?
It was Buena Vista Winery in Sonoma, and it's actually the oldest winery, and it was so beautiful. We did the Bubble Lounge, which was amazing. It was like down in I don't want to say dungeon.
I was going to say like down in the dungeon.
Basically, it was kind of cold in there, and it was nice. So it was
so
so
they
pretty.
Served up different types of bubblies.
Yeah, we got four tastings of champagne, and they were like good-sized tastings too. And it was just a beautiful property. They have a wine maze, which we did not have time to check out.
Was it the lavender maze? Or is it?
No, it's just a maze that they have.
Just a maze.
Yeah.
So you
and
drink
like,
a little wine and try and get out of a maze.
Exactly. And they have a lot of like photo opportunity spots, and you walk around, and there's actually like a trail that you can go walk on.
Oh, nice.
And so I definitely want to go there on a day where more time and not wearing heels.
Oh, yeah. You guys had the Bridgerton look going on.
Yes, I did do a theme. I made my friends all dress up with me and do a Bridgerton theme.
Since it's the oldest winery.
Yes, exactly. It just made sense, and I wanted it to be fun.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and then what's
fun.
that other, the Bartholomew?
And then we went to Bartholomew Park, which is also a winery, and then they have, I think it's Anita's Garden.
Yeah, it's I took a picture. I don't have my phone. It's not Anita. It's something else.
Anita's. But it's somebody's garden.
It's a really nice. They ask that you buy some wine to help support their maintaining this beautiful grounds. But
we got a rosé, and it was really good.
Yeah, and they have picnic tables, and then you can bring your own food, and so it's both of those places. We living
really
in the wine
together.
country, we always have people come into town and say, "What's a good winery to go to?" And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I didn't even go wine tasting in my life, until maybe 10 years ago. I grew up here. I grew up in Marin, but then I've been in Sonoma County for like 40 years or more. But we just didn't. I was raising 4 kids. I didn't go wine tasting.
I've been making you. I got you into it. I think I was like, let's go.
Yeah, no, it's good because we do have people ask us that question.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so enough of that. But if you find it, you can shout out. But yeah, Bartholomew Winery and Estate, and then they also have Bartholomew Park, and it's actually it's like a land grant or something owned by the family still, but they allow them to use it. But anyway, it's a beautiful spot. Same with Buena Vista. Okay, so let's.
Oh, it was Antonia.
Oh,
Antonia's Garden. I was very close.
Yeah, it's really. I highly encourage you to check out either one of those
Definitely.
if you're looking for a nice winery to go to, or a place that you can bring your own food. It's not part of their wine tasting thing. It's separate, but they do. They don't require it, but they ask if you could, you support. They actually have a sign on the way in that says, "Enjoy Antonio's Garden. Your wine purchases help support this beautiful place." So anyway, okay, let's talk about buyer strategies. And like we said, we are starting to see more buyers. It's partly because it's the summer is coming. Kids are out of school. People are saying, okay, let's do that. They're not out of school yet, but they're going to be out of school, so they're going to start families, especially, or with kids that are in school, really like to wait and make that move during the summer months. So we're seeing that a lot of like job transfers, things like that, moving out of the state, moving into the state. That happens a lot during the summer.
It does, yeah.
And so, and then after all these years of kind of the market really kind of sucking, to be honest, and not really. I mean, but it's been a hard market the last couple of years, and buyers are coming out and saying, okay, let's do this, and maybe they've taken that much time to figure out how to make it work, or they've decided, okay, the rates aren't going down, so let's just do what we need to do, and we've talked about that a lot.
There was something we heard recently when someone said it was like something about not waiting for the perfect moment, for the perfect
moment in the market.
Yes.
You want the perfect moment for yourself, really.
Exactly,
I think when Georgia Dare came on, we talked about that too, is what does it look like for you in this moment in time, and does it work? If it works, it doesn't matter what the interest rate is. It doesn't matter what might happen in the market. Does it work for you right now?
Exactly,
so if you want to buy a house, that's what, look at it that way. And some people don't. If you don't want to buy a house, and, no judgment. In my opinion, it was the single best thing that I ever did, is buying a house, moving out of a rental. We had been, I don't want to say kicked out, but they sold the tenants sold, the property owners sold 2 rentals in a row, within like a year and a half. So you move into one, they go, actually, we're going to sell. Here's your notice. Then you move in another, and then the woman's husband had passed away, and she goes, I'm sorry. We had literally been there for like 2 months. Just got all the utilities set up, and just got all the, And, so, well, okay, we need to do something different. So buying a house, the stability of it was huge. And then when the market, tanked and did all the things and the economy and all of that, then, we rode that storm through, and I, my house payment, was still less than, even though it was way underwater, it was still less than if I had to go have a rental, go rent a property. So, we rode the storm. And anyway, so my point is, if you are thinking about buying a home, it doesn't really matter what the market looks like. It's what it looks
what your
life
to you.
Looks so like, what's happening in your life, and is this important to you? So if it is, if you're not working with a realtor already, we're absolutely happy to sit down and talk to you and talk strategy and see if we can help you and if we're a good fit. But if you are working with an agent, we don't want to override anything that they're telling you. But I just want to, if you're thinking about it and you're not yet working with anybody, or even if you are, just here's some information that we've learned over the years through myself, through multiple up and down markets, and you've watching, living through it by mom's having a good year or a bad year, so.
And then now, I think I came on 3 years this year.
Yeah, and
just
you've been through
being like actually in it as a realtor and having my license, rather than being at home
watching it from the sidelines.
Watching from the sidelines. It's very different, and I've learned quickly of all the strategies and things to do that helps a home sell, and what makes a home not sell, and what could
and putting an offer together too for a buyer.
Yes,
so
definitely.
So you brought up something when we were taking notes here and or making notes, and one about putting your best offer first. So if especially if it's a competitive, that there's multiple offers, or there might be. So what are your thoughts on that?
You want to put your best offer first, because you don't want to just expect that they're going to come back with a counteroffer, because it's a tough market. If it's a busy market and there's a lot of other people looking at that same house putting in offers, you want yours to be the best if you want that house. If you really want that house,
if you really, really want it,
put your best offer. Don't just assume they're going to counter offer you. Counter you. Thank you.
Counter you. Yeah. And we hear that sometimes. You go, oh, gosh, I thought they were going to counter me. It's like, no, they don't have to. Or even, or if we're working with a seller, and, a lot of, especially if it's multiple offers, like, I don't want to go back and forth. I don't want to do all this back and forth stuff. Let's just pick an offer. Let's pick the one that we like the best. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't always necessarily mean it's the best.
And to go along with that, cash offers are not always fast either.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So don't just assume that your cash offer is better than all the other offers.
No, yeah, and we have some agents, they'll say, oh, but we're cash. It's like,
cash is king.
That's nice, but there's a better offer on the table that they like for other reasons, And ultimately, it's up to the seller to accept. It's never up to the agent, and sometimes agents will kind of insert themselves in that and be all, oh, well, they're not going to take that offer. It's like, well, really, did you put it on the table in front of them or send it to their computer and say, look at this offer, what do you think? And then here's what I think, as an agent. So we're here to advise, but ultimately the decision is the sellers, and they can pick for whatever reason they want. And it's not always the strong, it's not always the higher offer. Sometimes it's stronger in other things, and sometimes they like the shortness of a contingency, or they like the length, or they're going to give them a rent back, whereas the other one didn't, and then the other buyer will go, well, I didn't know they wanted a rent back. Well, did your agent call the listing agent and say, what are they looking for in an offer?
Yeah,
so
that's another big one.
So your agent should be in communication with the seller's agent. Yeah. And then that's a really good question to ask is, what are they looking for? Mm-hmm. What do they want? What if they have 50 years worth of stuff in their house, and you're waving a cash offer at them saying, we can close in 10 days. You think they're gonna want to get out of there in 10 days? Know the seller. Yes. Know who the seller is by having your agent call the other agent, say, what are they looking for in an offer? What could we do to make our offer stand out above all these others? Not price, because they're, most agents, and we're really not supposed to talk about that, because it's really not fair to all the other ones. And it's not, to say, oh, well, we've got an offer for $800,000. Can you top that? We really don't do that. And there are some that might. But anyway. But it's usually kind of a taboo thing, and don't do that, because it's then you're basically like shopping the first offer that came in around to see if you can get a better one. But anyway, so putting your best offer first, if you really want this house. And a lot of times what I'll say to somebody is, how bad would you feel if you didn't get this house?
Yeah.
If you're going to be devastated, put your best offer in first, because you don't know. You can't assume that they're going to counter you. So that's a really big one. But so what is your best offer? What does that look like? Really, it doesn't necessarily have to be price. Some sellers, it is. It's about how much money am I going to net in the end, But, maybe you can shorten those contingency periods. If they've done all their inspections already.
Yeah, that's helpful.
You could even come in with, only an appraisal and a loan contingency. We've seen some who actually have to get a loan, which requires an appraisal. In most cases, sometimes they'll waive it, but you don't know ahead of time. But if they're so solidly qualified, if you as a buyer are so solidly qualified that you can put an offer in non-contingent, and you really don't want to miss out on this house, and you've come in with as much money as you comfortably can, or the lender will approve. Our attorneys all say don't do this, but you can put, and there's a thing you have to sign saying I've been advised against this. You can put a non-contingent offer in, and then looking at, okay, what if it appraises a little low? can I come in with that a little bit extra cash and stuff. So it's really something you have to make that decision yourself, and the attorneys all advise against it because that's a contingency you're giving up that you honestly really shouldn't. But to strengthen your offer, you can. Yeah. Just be aware that there could be consequences. I actually, when I bought the house in Oregon, it was a fierce multiple counteroffer, and I ended up waiving my appraisal and loan contingency, and I was getting a loan. It appraised a little low, and I came in with the extra cash, and it for me it was okay because it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter what the appraiser says. It's I mean, it does because they have to come in with the right amount to get the loan. Yeah. But it has to. There's people give way too much weight, I think, to an appraisal. Appraiser is a person who's educated to look at the facts and look at the comps and say, this is what the house is worth based on what I'm seeing in my experience, my knowledge. But if it's worth, say it appraises for $725. And you put an offer at $750. If it's worth $750 to you, and you have the cash to make up that difference, then it's worth, it's worth what you're willing to pay for it, and what the seller is willing to take for it. So anyway, but you can shorten those contingencies or remove them completely. Just know the consequences. Talk to an attorney if you feel comfortable or not, feel like you should do that. I'll pretty much guarantee they're going to tell you don't do that.
Yeah, definitely.
But but removing the contingencies is not the appraisal and loan. That one's a big scary one because it really is. If they say you can't get the loan, you can't get the loan. Now you don't have that safety net or that exit lane because you gave it away. But if they've already done all their inspections, you know what it's going to cost, or you're comfortable. Worst case scenario, this is what could be wrong with the property. You may want to remove the contingencies if it's you need to put in a really strong offer and you can't come up any higher in your price. Or even just shortening the contingency periods, like I need 5 days to do something. Keep in mind though, our inspectors now are a couple of weeks out. There are some you can find, maybe they had a cancellation or maybe, and a lot of times when we're putting an offer in, we know we're going to be putting an offer in, we're ahead of time calling and setting up inspections just to get them on the books. And then we call back and say, never mind, we didn't get the offer accepted, or we did, let's go. So, it's really important to put together a strong offer in a market where it's competitive, and having that communication between the listing agent and the buyer's agent. It's really good. One other thing we have to take a break is being available and knowing that this, and even if it's something that's been on the market for a while, just because it's been on the market for a while doesn't mean that you're the only person looking at it. So maybe we've had it over and over again where it's been sitting on the market, and suddenly 3 offers come in. All at once. It's gosh darn it, we should have done it last week, when there were no offers. But so be available and don't say, oh yeah, we can look at it next week on Tuesday. Okay, well, it's probably going to get offers this weekend, so be aware of that. And then, remember that you do have a contingency period. And a lot of people are, right now, the buyers are being really picky. Rightfully so in some cases. But, they're taking more time.
Yes, and there's a lot out there. So that's why they can do that, because there's a lot out there. And that's why we always say don't wait till the spring market or summer market. Yeah. It's mostly spring. Everyone waits till spring. That's when everyone else is waiting. Yeah,
then suddenly it gets busy. Yeah. But so there's a lot on the market, so they get this kind of decision indecision. You have this decision anxiety. It's like, but there's so many. Which one should I put an offer in on? And while you're humming and hawing and deciding which one makes sense and pulling up all the data and doing your spreadsheets and all of that, there's somebody putting an offer in, or doing the same thing, and then all the offers come in at once. There is that's what a contingency is for. It's for doing some of that research. I always have a caveat to that you don't want to just throw an offer out knowing that you're going to decide once you're in escrow, because that's not fair to anybody. It's just not the right way to do it. And we all talk, all of the agents talk, and we know we're going to bat for you, and we're pulling out all the stops and making your offer shine and doing all the things to get your offer accepted. and then it gets, gets accepted, and you go, well, actually, I don't think I want to buy that house, and you have every right to do that if you're within that contingency period. But the reason I say that is that don't just put an offer in knowing that you're going to go through all these inspections after, so do some research up front, but also know that you kind of know that you want this house, not just to be throwing offers out, because it really messes up everything. And when I say we all talk, then it's like, oh, well, they put an offer in on this house and did that, and now, they may not like us. Most agents understand, because we all go through the same thing. But it just, it's not the best way to do it, but you do have the out of having those contingencies. And
I just want to add in there, a lot of that happens when buyers back out, is because the seller didn't do those inspections ahead of time, and so there's something came up in the inspections, and they're like, oh, no, I don't want to deal with that, and they back out. So so get those. As a seller, it's really important, because then maybe they're going to write a non-contingent offer because you already did all the work for them, or you can at least do like a 5-day contingency period for inspections, not 15 days, because it is taking a couple of weeks now to get inspections done. Okay, we got to take a break, and we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the VA purchase and the fact that surviving spouses are eligible for those VA, and sometimes there's surviving child as well. But there's limitations to that. So we'll talk about that when we get back. I'm Allison Norman. I'm Stephanie Norman.
We're the Norman Home Team, and you're listening to the Real Estate Hour. We'll be right back. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Sunday morning. Happy birthday, Stephanie.
Thank you.
It's kind of my day, too, right?
It is, yes.
The day I birthed you.
Yes, thank you for bringing me into this world.
Yes, Santa Rosa Kaiser. You're truly a local girl.
I am. Yes.
Born at Santa Rosa Kaiser, 6:36 a.m. I don't know why I remember that. I have 4 kids. I remember yours, and I remember Michelle's. Sorry, boys.
Well, your first daughter and your second daughter.
I think they were all born kind of in the morning, early morning. I think Michelle was like 1:15 a.m. or something like that, after 24 hours of labor. They got easier after that. But anyway, okay, let's talk about, let's shift gears extremely to, we want to talk about, because it is Memorial Day, and just a reminder, I know you, Joe, you're a veteran, yes, and I know you get a lot of thank you for your service today. What is, U.S. Navy? Were you a Navy guy? Yeah. So thank you for your service. However, what you've told us in the past, and other people say, this isn't about me today. It's a Memorial Day. It's not Veterans Day. Is for the veterans. So we talk a lot, and we really kind of talk all year long about the VA eligibility and VA loans and all of that. But today, so I don't want to do a deep dive into that today. We'll do that another day. But today is about the remembering those who passed during the war, multiple wars, and just the memorial for that. But I did want to bring up the fact we work with a lot of veterans and doing VA loans. Haven't yet done a VA loan for a surviving spouse. I think a lot of people don't know that that's a thing. Yeah. And hopefully the Veterans Administration is letting them know, hey, by the way, you qualify for all these benefits. One of those benefits is the use of the VA loan. That in honor of your spouse who died. And a couple of things is, so the question is, can a surviving spouse get a VA loan? Yes, the answer is yes. The surviving spouses may be eligible for a VA loan, typically if they haven't remarried and their spouse died in the line of duty or due to a service-connected disability. And then some other cases where they're eligible is the spouse of a service member listed in as MIA or POW for more than 90 days, the spouse of a veteran receiving compensation at the time of death for a service-connected disability rated totally disabling, the spouse of a veteran continuously rated totally disabled for at least 10 years immediately preceding death, the spouse of a veteran continuously rated totally disabled for at least 5 years from the date of discharge or release from active duty, or the spouse of a veteran who who was a former POW who died after September 30th, 1999, and was continuously rated totally disabled for at least 1 year immediately preceding death. Spouses who remarry after the significant other's death may still be eligible for a loan, provided they did so on or after turning 57 and on or after December 16, 2003. And then additionally, spouses who purchased a home with VA loan are eligible to refinance using the VA Streamline program. So it's just important to know that, you know. And so what we really like about the VA loan is, it's a no money down loan, which there aren't very many of them. It is an assumable loan. It's only one of two. FHA is the other one, where you can purchase a home with VA financing and assume a VA finance loan on a property. We have one that's going to be coming up where they have under 3% interest rate right now. And a VA loan is assumable. So the veteran purchasing the house could go through the process of, they got to work directly with that lender and with our help, of course, and then they can assume the portion of the loan, and then they're going to be getting their own loan to fill that gap, because it's probably the loan is smaller than the actual purchase price. So they can put cash down and then assume that lower amount, or they can get us an additional loan. But it's a really good product, and it's if you don't have the right agent helping you on either side of that, there's still a lot of misconception in the real estate community about, and I think it's getting better to where a lot more agents really understand what the VA and what that means.
Yeah, well, and then the biggest thing is having an agent that knows all about it and knows how to explain it to the seller's agent, because not all agents know about it, and a lot of times the seller's agent doesn't know, so they can't. The seller sees the offer and they're like, oh, what is that?
And they're all, that means they're going to make you fix all the repairs.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, well, shoot, we don't want to do that. Well, guess what? It doesn't say the seller has to fix it. It says that somebody has to fix it. So a lot of times the buyer's done it, and it takes some coordination. It takes some explaining, like you said, or you put a cap on how much you're asking them to fix, not to exceed a certain amount of money. Or you figure it out, or you offer a little bit higher, and then ask them to do the repairs. There's lots of ways to do it, but that's all we have time to talk about. But just know, as a spouse, we're sorry for your loss, but you are eligible for these things. You had something real quick before Joe has to.
We will have all this posted on our Facebook page, the Real Estate Hour with Allison and Stephanie Norman. We'll have it on our YouTube and social media and
all the things. Woohoo! Look for us. I'm Allison Norman.
I'm Stephanie Norman.
We're the Norman Home Team. You're listening to the Real Estate Hour. Happy birthday, Stephanie!
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Real Estate Hour, heard every Sunday morning right here on KSRO for over 35 years. Hosted by Allison Norman and Stephanie Norman, local realtors with local real estate experience. A mother-daughter real estate team with Keller Williams Realty Wine Country. Call or text 707-799-3617. DRE license number 0172-0334 and 0220-9237. More next week right here on KSRO.